I'm Melissa.
And I'm Jason.
And this past October, we came across the most amazing airline points earning opportunity. And Jason did all of the hard work on this, so he's going to tell you about it.
Yeah, so this is the Scandinavian Airlines challenge posted in October. The challenge consists of flying 15 different airline partners, and if you do complete the challenge, you will earn 1 million points. Now, unfortunately, there's a short amount of time to get this challenge completed, as you have to complete it by December 31st of 2024. So this is my journey for this challenge. To start the challenge, my first flight was on Delta Economy from Bangor to JFK. It was a very quick flight, about an hour. The seat was fine, and there was a small snack of Sun Chips, which was okay. My next flight was from JFK to London Heathrow on Virgin Atlantic. This was about a 6-hour flight overnight, and I had the whole economy row to myself. The flight crew was really nice and polite. The food was fine, from Mexican chicken, a Caesar salad. The chocolate mousse was really nice. And overall, I would recommend taking Virgin Atlantic again. So for the third flight, now in London Heathrow, I took SAS from London Heathrow to Copenhagen. About a 2-hour flight, no frills, not much of a snack. Coffee or tea was offered. So a quick flight from Copenhagen to Amsterdam, again on SAS, to position onto my next flight, which would be Tarum. This flight was from Amsterdam to Bucharest, and it was a long 3 hours. So my next flight was on Tarum Airlines. This is the Romanian partner of the SkyTeam. My flight was from Amsterdam to Bucharest. It was about 3 hours. This flight was really disappointing, unfortunately. It was a no-frills flight. There were no meals or anything served, not even water. The seats were pretty uncomfortable. They were pretty old. Midway through the flight, I went to the bathroom, flushed the toilet, thought everything was fine, and all of a sudden I see liquid on the bottom of the floor. Urine. So I ran out of there as quick as I could. Luckily, no one saw me. So this was not a great experience. Tarum needs to fix their plumbing. They need to fix their all flight experience. Romania looks awesome. The people were really friendly. I really want to go back to Romania, but not by flying there with Tarum. So here is the hotel I stayed overnight. It's about a 5-minute walk from the airport, which is really convenient. The room was comfortable, and the price was around $100. Woke up for breakfast next morning, and it was a very nice spread of a typical European style breakfast. Some local Romanian sausages, cheeses. You can make your own salad. I would recommend anyone to stay at this hotel if you're flying into Bucharest. The cost was about $100, which is a bargain. So I finished breakfast and walked back to the airport about 5 minutes and went to the Dasha Lounge from using my priority pass. I would not recommend spending much time at this lounge. There's only small amounts of food to be tried, a pizza slice, which was unappetizing, as well as potato croquettes. But for a drink, it's worth it to get some Pepsi. Flew on KLM business class from Bucharest to Amsterdam, about a 3-hour flight, and it was worth the upgrade to business class. The seat was a typical intra-European business class, meaning the middle seat was marked off. The food was interesting. For me, it was a vegetarian lunch consisting of sweet potatoes. The favorite thing of the lunch was French macaroons for dessert at the end. I liked the comfort compared to all the economy flights from before. So for the upgrade of $75, it was a bargain for me. Small snack after lunch consisted of chicken sambal. This was okay. But all in all, a really good experience flying on KLM for the first time, and I would recommend it for anyone. Touching down on Amsterdam Airport, Schiphol to my next flight. Flying on Air France from Amsterdam to Charles de Gaulle. About a short 1 hour flight. I had the road to myself. A cheese sandwich was offered, but at this point I was not hungry, so I did not eat this. Saudi flight was next to fly from Charles de Gaulle to Jeddah, a later in the day flight. The crew were really nice and friendly during the duration of the flight. The seat was comfortable for economy class, and I was surprised they gave an amenity kit. They gave socks, earplugs, a night mask, and I kept it after the flight. This was a nice touch. Food served during the flight included a date and coffee, which was tasty. Main course was a biryani and a delicious salted caramel tiramisu. Qatar was my next flight. This was a non-SAS qualifying flight. I took this on a business class route from Cairo to Doha and then Doha to Ho Chi Minh City to position me to Southeast Asia. Time for lunch, and lunch consisted of some bread, which was delicious. I love bread.
I love lamb.
Shrimp appetizer, which was fine. Main course was delicious. This was awesome. Kebabs, lamb chop. I'm not a lamb chop person, but I would recommend this if you see this on this menu. And for dessert, chocolate mousse. Excellent. I then landed in Ho Chi Minh City for my next flight to Jakarta, Indonesia. I had to wait a few hours before my next flight, so I went into a lounge courtesy of my Priority Pass membership. I had some chicken pho, which was delicious. So this flight to Jakarta was about 2 hours. I was seated in the emergency row, which was a bonus for my long legs. The flight itself was fine. I was comfortable in the seat. I had one passenger next to me and one of the flight attendants next to me as well. The food was delicious. This was a spicy beef noodle dish, and I would highly recommend it. My next flight was to Yogyakarta. It was about an hour flight on Garuda, which was fine. The flight itself was scary because we took off during a storm. I saw lightning. We went through a lot of clouds and rain. I had never been through a storm like this. The seat itself was comfortable. Nobody was seated next to me. The food was a sweet bread roll with cream cheese inside. Outside the window, we could see some volcanoes on the left side, which was awesome. So I stayed overnight at the Ibis Hotel. The price was around $33, including breakfast, which was a deal for myself. The room was comfortable. It had nice air conditioning, which kept me cool in the warm Indonesian weather. In the morning, I had breakfast, and I was able to sit at a window to look at the nice Indonesian countryside, which was peaceful while enjoying my delicious meal. The breakfast spread was rather substantial. There were some Western items and a lot of Indonesian local items I had never seen before. I loved the hot chicken soup with a lot of toppings that you could add as seen here. This was my first time trying Indonesian food, and it won't be my last. A quick grab ride back to the Yogyakarta airport. The airport was easy to get around, not much traffic for my flight back to Jakarta.
So one more additional part of my own challenge is to use the Priority Pass lounge access as much as I can to avoid paying for any meal out. So far, the challenge for this is intact. I've been able to access multiple lounges throughout the world, which is awesome. Been able to try lots of different types of cuisine and have access to multiple areas for soda, water, juice, coffee, which has been very helpful as well. So if you do not have a Priority Pass through your credit card, I would very much recommend this if you are traveling a lot overseas. I have my Priority Pass access through Capital One's Venture X card, which is worth its annual fee.
Next, I stopped by one of the Priority Pass lounges in Jakarta Airport for lunch. The small spread was tasty with curry puffs, pandan cake. A barista working in the lounge made this cappuccino for me. All in all, a great experience, and if you're in the Jakarta airport, I would recommend going to this lounge. My next flight to Taipei on China Airlines was actually delayed almost 3 hours, which was frustrating to myself and the rest of the passengers. But the good news was the flight was not canceled, and my SAS challenge was still intact without any cancellations so far. The seat itself was comfortable for the 5 hour flight in economy. It was enough room for myself, and the food was rather delicious. There was fish and a marshmallow cake, which was unique, something I never tried before. So after an overnight stay at the Novotel airport, I had breakfast the next morning. This was my favorite breakfast of the challenge. A substantial spread of so many different things I've never tried before. First time visit in Taiwan. If you're staying near the airport, I would recommend this hotel, which will soon be a Hyatt Regency. As you see, there were savory buns filled with pork, beef, sweet custard buns, which could be a dessert or a breakfast. Chicken curry meatballs. This was my favorite thing for the whole meal. Some vegetarian dishes, including tofu, which I appreciate. Fried rice, which was unique as compared to Chinese American fried rice. I had a couple plates, and I'm not ashamed to show it. After finishing the substantial breakfast, I took the hotel's shuttle back to the airport for my next flight to Guangzhou on China Airlines. The food on board was simple but delicious. Shrimp with noodle and that peach tea I recommend. So my next flight was on Kenya Airways, and this was chaotic. This was the most stressful part of my journey because I had a really tight connection. I flew from Guangzhou to Bangkok. It was about a 2 hour flight, and so that wasn't the stressful part of this flight. The whole stressful part was actually getting onto the plane itself. It was difficult to wait in line as I was pushed and bumped by a lot of the other passengers. So this was a pretty rude experience to start with. Some officials in China tried to have a little bit of order and make a normal line for us, but everyone else started to make their own lines, which was even more chaotic. So I was already stressing out behind that instance. So once I did get on the flight itself, it was more stress as I needed to have an aisle seat because I needed to get off the airplane as quick as I could when I landed in Bangkok. I had a really tight connection and I needed to make sure I could get through security as quick as I could. So I walked down to where my seat was, and there was a gentleman sitting in my seat. I kindly told him that this was my seat number, and we had a small but kind argument. And at the end of the argument, I decided it would be better if he just stayed in that seat and I had the window seat. But the flight itself was short as stated. It didn't take really long. I was disappointed in the sandwich that they gave us, but I really liked the flight attendants. They were really friendly and nice. I just probably wouldn't fly this route again. I would fly it probably in Kenya itself, but not flying from China to Bangkok. So my apologies, I did not get any footage of my seat for this flight from Bangkok to Shanghai as it was really early morning and all the chaos from the Kenya Airways was really stressing me out. The food was simple but again tasty with bean pork with noodle. Then I had a brief layover in Shanghai. Shanghai's airport is really modern. Very large to walk around, like other large Chinese airports. The food on the next flight was simple again, a type of ham with potatoes and cake. So, landing back in Taipei, I briefly walked around the airport before taking an Uber to my overnight hotel at the Holiday Inn Express in Taiwan. This hotel was a great overnight stay with the panoramic view room that they upgraded me to. This was awesome to see parts of downtown, and the room was not the largest, but was pretty spacious. I really enjoyed staying here. The air conditioning kept the room nice and cool for this humid part of the year. So yeah, if you're around this area, this would be a great hotel to stay in. They gave me a welcome gift of jelly beans, which was a nice little touch. a small desk to catch up on email. The bathroom bidet was set to scald. This was crazy, but I eventually figured how to cut it off. After the scalded incident, I went downstairs for breakfast and again really enjoyed the dumplings, buns, and a soup before my return to the airport for my next flight from Taipei to Xiamen. This flight on Xiamen Airlines was about an hour in duration, so not really long. The economy seat was comfortable enough, and since I had the window seat, I had the pleasure of having some nice views of Taiwan, and will surely return in the future. The food on this flight was actually really, really good. It was Kung Pao chicken. So I've been loving all these economy class meals compared to domestic meals in the United States. So from the window view, I got some really cool views of Xiamen before landing at the airport. When we landed, I got out of the airport by taking Didi, another rideshare service which is prevalent in China, for about $2 to the Hyatt Regency. This Hyatt Regency club room was around $100 or 8,500 Hyatt points, a great bargain. I loved this room. It was so peaceful and relaxing. They gave me the top floor, which was 26. I had access to the lounge, which I'll show you in a little bit. But everything looked really luxurious in the bathroom, as well as the main part, which had a small sofa area. I love the wood accents to the walls in this room. The king bed was really comfortable, gave me a great night's sleep. As I was on the top 26th floor, I saw some pretty spectacular views of the downtown portion of Xiamen from my room window itself, as well as the club lounge. I liked how green the city was with all the different trees and bushes lining all of the boulevards. The lounge itself had some nice afternoon snacks of different fruits, as well as small cakes, Swiss rolls, a cheesecake, which then transitioned to dinner around 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock rolled around and they set up sushi, some roasted goose and duck and chicken. All in all, it was again new stuff for myself to try, and it saved me from going out to a restaurant nearby. The next morning, this is breakfast, which was actually in the main restaurant on the ground floor. So many different Chinese items I hadn't seen before. Very different from what I'm used to in the United States, but things that were really interesting to try. A wonton or satay noodle station was really cool to try. So many different things that I wish I had more time and more room in my stomach to actually indulge in. The fruits were really delicious and fresh tasting. Lots of pastries, a chocolate bread with a chocolate filling, which was one of my favorites of the meal. I love chocolate.
I love lamb.
So as you can see, there are so many different pastries and danishes, so many different breads, a lot of other Chinese delicacies, including egg tarts that I've never tried before. So all in all, a great experience. As I finished breakfast, I made my way back to the airport with Didi to take my next flight on Korean Air from Xiamen to Seoul. This was about a 3-hour flight in economy class. The seat was pretty comfortable, the in-flight entertainment was substantial, and the food was delicious. I had a spicy beef bulgogi, which I would again recommend if you see that on the menu. We then landed in Seoul, and I took a small shuttle bus to the Grand Hyatt in Incheon. So I stayed in a club king room. This was around 17,000 Hyatt points, which is a little high, but this is a really convenient hotel close to the airport. So if you have an early morning flight and you don't want to stay or travel to downtown Seoul, this would probably be your best bet, as the hotel has its own shuttle, which is about maybe a 5 to 10 minute transport from the airport itself. The room was rather quiet. I liked how they had a kettle that you could have tea or coffee, which was included in the room itself. The bed was nice and comfortable for my night stay. So here's a update for the SAS challenge. I'm here in Seoul, South Korea, flying from Xiamen to Seoul on Korean Airlines. This completes the 14th partner airline for the SAS challenge. I have only one more airline in a few weeks, and that will be in Aeromexico, going to Mexico City with Melissa, which I'm excited for. So all in all, the challenge is basically completed for me. I'm very excited that it's done. It's been a very tiresome and also very exciting challenge at the same time. There were some very close connections, some interesting things that have happened that I will go over in future videos. But all in all, it was quite the journey to go from New York, basically all around the world, back to New York tomorrow. I'll be flying Asiana tomorrow. That's a non-qualifying airline that I used a award point from Air Canada to get myself back to the United States. So here's a look at the club lounge breakfast the next morning. A lot of variety for anyone, from different fruits, smoked salmon. There are sausages, spicy pork bulgogi with different side dishes, cereals if you want to go in that direction. Lots of indulgent pastries, including danishes, croissants, muffins. And look at these dumplings. These are so cool with their animal shapes. And then I made it back to the airport for my second to last leg on Asiana Airlines from Seoul back to JFK. This was an economy class flight, 14 hours in duration. So really long. I had to get up several times to stretch my legs, which I'm sure everyone would do in this situation. The food was really good. This is a type of bulgogi with lettuce wraps, a soybean soup, a unique experience for myself, again, comparing it to American domestic airlines. Final meal was breakfast, which was a shrimp cutlet with fried rice, a really solid choice, and I would fly Asiana again. After a few weeks of rest, I went on my last flight, which was Aeromexico with Melissa from Austin to Mexico City. A quick 2-hour flight from Austin to Mexico City. Economy seat was okay for this 2-hour flight. In-flight entertainment kept me busy, and a small snack of Oreo-like cookies were dispensed. So I'm happy to be done with almost all this flying around the world. It's been very tiresome. The only thing I have to do now is wait for the points and the results of the challenge to get notified by email in January. So after really enjoying Mexico City, we took Aeromexico's route from Mexico City back to Austin in economy. Here's a PSA. Don't be like this guy. This guy took over my seat for the entire flight. This is a no-go.
So that was a lot of flying in a short amount of time.
It was. Would you like to do that next year?
Absolutely not. That sounds like, you know what? I knew it was going to be hard. I said, when Jason told me about the challenge, I said, that sounds like a great challenge for you. Because, not me, because I knew that he could do it. He's got a lot more like energy and stamina than I do. I could not have stayed up for 24, 48 hours at a time and then still function. But yeah, you certainly can. So no, maybe if it was a longer time span, not like 11 days, or how many days was it?
Yeah, it was 11 days.
So, but no, not in 11 days. I would not do it.
Okay.
I did want to mention though that when SAS announced this challenge, they said that they would announce the like whether or not you won, the challenge in January, but Jason already got his email.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I got an email from one of the SAS media relation personnel, and they say that I will get the points in January or maybe February once they get everything tied up. But we are super excited because of that, and thank you, SAS, for those points.
And so what does that really mean, though? How much is
Well, it's
a million points?
Yeah,
Like, how
it
much can that give
depends.
you?
Yeah, so it varies from person depending on where you are. We'll say that maybe the baseline of this could be worth about $10,000, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit less. But maybe you could get around 33 economy round trip tickets to places in Europe and maybe Europe back to North America. You could get maybe 10 round trip business class tickets from those same routes. There's some partner awards out there that probably have a little bit of leeway, some good niches here and there. So yeah, miles vary from person to person.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on what you want to do with those miles, but I think we'll find some cool redemptions in the future.
And then just so everyone knows, so you say it could be worth about like on a low end, maybe like $10,000.
Mm.
How much did you spend on this, including our trip to Mexico, or do you know?
Yeah, so the flights were around $3,500. My hotel stays, I stayed about 6 nights out of the 11 nights that I flew. So that's about maybe another $300 or so, and maybe some incidentals here and there. So I would say maybe $4,000. So it was a risk to spend that amount of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to spend at one time to not really enjoy yourself a lot. You fly a lot through all these different airports. You go to the lounges. Things get really monotonous really quickly. I enjoyed it for some things, and of course I missed you. I wish I had you as a partner to talk about the frustrations during the flight. But I think it's worth it in the end. And once we get that redemption and we are able to enjoy ourselves again, we'll be in a better place.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to see any of the flights that we end up taking or any of our other adventures or, food tasting adventures, hit that subscribe button and we'll send you some more videos.
Okay, until next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.